Hi, Mary. Sorry to bother you at work. What can I do for you? I couldn't greet you yesterday because you were hiding, so I came to you. Nicole had noticed me. I think you may have realized, but I'm dating John. My name is Mary. At 35, I'm a nurse at the largest hospital in this region. I'm a mother of a 3-year-old and 5-year-old son, forming a family of 4 with my husband, John, who's 5 years older than me. John works as a doctor at a clinic near our home. Originally, he was a physician at the hospital where I now work, but when we had children, he started working at the more flexible clinic, without night shifts. Since I have a husband who is a doctor, I could live without working, but somehow doing housework at home doesn't suit me, so I've kept my job as a nurse. Of course, balancing work and parenting is dizzyingly busy. I get up early in the morning, prepare the kids' lunches, handle household chores like the family's breakfast and laundry, then drop off the kids at daycare on my way to work. But considering my restless and impatient personality, I think it's better to be this busy. John, on the other hand, only needs to be at the clinic at 9 o'clock, so he sleeps until about 8. So when John wakes up, the kids and I are already gone. He goes to work leisurely, finishes his evening consultations, and returns home around 9, after tidying up. By that time, I'm at my peak of tiredness, having finished the kids' dinner, bath, cleaning up their daycare bags, and finally putting them to bed. Still, I make sure to prepare John's dinner and clean up, and I have no complaints about him not helping with the housework. Rather, if clumsy John tried to do the housework, it'd be a hassle to redo it, so I don't even want him to help. Mary, thank you, as always. The dinner was delicious today, too. He always appreciates me like this, and these words make me happy. How about we go to the zoo this Sunday? Really? Sounds great. I think the kids are gonna love it. On his days off, he plans to take them out like this, so they love their dad. At the zoo we visited on Sunday, our kids were running around and seemed really happy. They made me smile, naturally, thinking that this is what happiness feels like. Here you go, Mary. Huh? What he handed me was a cute cell phone charm with a blue penguin on it. It's a matching pair. Then he showed me his cell phone with a light blue penguin charm. I felt a bit embarrassed, like a pair of high school sweethearts, but it warmed my heart. Thanks. It's a bit embarrassing, but I'm happy. You know, penguins are quite loyal, and some spend their entire lives with the same partner. I chuckled hearing John's comment. I thought to myself, we will probably be like the penguins, and always stay together. But who knows what life has in store for us. One day, after finishing work on time, I was rushing out of the hospital's bike parking lot, heading to the daycare. Are you Mary? Yes, that's me. An unfamiliar young woman addressed me. Maybe she's a nurse from a different department. If she was such a beautiful woman with long hair, she would certainly be the talk of the hospital. But she was definitely someone I didn't know well. I'm Nicole. I've always been grateful for John's support, and I saw you by chance, and thought I'd say hello. I'm sorry if I startled you. Oh, you know my husband. Are you here for a checkup today? No, it's just a coincidence. I'll leave now. As Nicole walked away, I felt a sense of discomfort. It was unlikely she had any business in the bike parking lot, which is only for staff and located behind the hospital. She must have been waiting for me, but what for? Feeling uneasy, I glanced at my wristwatch and hurriedly pedaled my bike towards the daycare. That night, as soon as John came home, I asked him about it. John, a woman named Nicole came to the hospital today and greeted me. Who is she? Huh? She went to see you. John seemed very surprised. She's a nurse at my clinic. Why would a nurse who works at your clinic come to greet me? Well, I don't know. I'll ask her the next time I see her. I felt a sense of mistrust towards John, who seemed eager to end the conversation quickly. The next time I saw Nicole was about 2 weeks later, in front of our house. It was when the daycare had called me at work because our eldest son had a fever and needed to be picked up. I was biking home with our 2 children, and I saw a figure in front of our house. I instinctively hit the brakes and pulled my bike over to the side of the road. They were a bit far away, but I could unmistakably recognize John and Nicole. I pulled out my cell phone and called John, just to make sure. Hey, Mary, what's up? I'm quite busy at work now. Even though he was obviously in front of our house, he was saying such a thing. I'm sorry. Our eldest son has a fever, so I'm about to head home. I thought I'd let you know. I see. Understood. I'll try to come home early today. With that, he hung up. The two in front of the house immediately started walking towards the clinic, so I waited a bit before going home. Fortunately, despite the fever, my son seemed to be in good spirits, so there wasn't too much to worry about. But as they say, it's best to stay alert. I made sure he was sitting quietly, watching his favorite cartoon, then served some snacks and took a moment to relax. The image of John and Nicole kept flashing in my mind. I didn't want to doubt, but I hated the part of me that suspected infidelity, and clutched the penguin charm on my cell phone, as if praying. In the evening, as promised, John hurried home and showed concern for our son. He's such a family-oriented man. He couldn't possibly be having an affair, or at least I wanted to believe so. Mary? Is something wrong? John, did you come home this afternoon? Why? Seeing John clearly disturbed, I felt my suspicion was nearing conviction. No, nothing. It seemed like the position of the chair was changed. Thought maybe you came home for lunch. No, I didn't come home. Maybe it's just your imagination. He said this with a laugh, and he started reading the newspaper as if he wanted to end this conversation quickly. Just my imagination, huh? I let it go at the moment, but went to bed with an uneasy feeling, our conversation still hanging in the air. The next day, our son's fever had subsided, so I dropped him off at the daycare and returned to work. While I was working, the head nurse informed me that there was a visitor. Wondering who it could be, I went to the designated lobby and found Nicole standing there. Hello, Mary. Sorry for interrupting you at work. What can I do for you? I saw you hiding yesterday and thought I should say hi, so here I am. Nicole had noticed me. I thought you might have realized by now, but I'm dating John. While she had spoken quite formally during our first meeting, her flirtatious manner of speaking was now irritating me. Even though she's clearly over 20, the type of woman who still talks like that in public is usually a bit pathetic. John said he doesn't like older women like you. He said he prefers young girls like me. So I was thinking it's probably best if you step aside. You get what I'm saying? Not really. John and I are dating. You get it now? Look, here's the evidence. How thoughtful of her. She opened her smartphone and showed me a picture of them together. It showed them in a hotel room, looking happy in their robes. Was his recent business trip a lie? Seeing my stern face, Nicole smirked with satisfaction. Now you get it, right? Hurry up and get a divorce, old lady. Having said what she wanted to say, she cheerfully left the hospital, satisfied. I felt like a decision was being forced upon me. But I had already made up my mind, so there was no doubt. It was just that the time had come sooner than I had anticipated. I immediately got into action. I told the head nurse that I was feeling unwell and left work early, also applying for leave for the next day. Although she looked puzzled at my sudden high spirits, I managed to get her approval, and I quickly headed to my destination. The showdown would be tomorrow. The next day, I was in the director's office of the clinic where John works. Sitting across from me was my father, who was also the director. He was looking at the photos and documents I had laid out on the desk, crossing his arms and looking serious. Yes, from the day I first met Nicole, I had hired a detective agency to investigate infidelity to dispel the discomfort I felt. Fortunately, I had money, so regardless of the outcome, I thought of it as an investment for my family to live positively, and had commissioned an investigation for a month. Because of Nicole's contact, I hurriedly went to get 2 weeks' worth of evidence, but the result was damning. It turned out that she had accompanied him on his recent business trip, and stayed in the same room. Even in their daily lives, during the break between morning and afternoon consultations, they had spent time together, at our house, almost every day. My father made a bitter face, but he raised his face with a determined look. Mary, what do you want to do? Consider the children, and give your answer carefully. I'm getting a divorce. I felt bad for my father, but my mind was already made up. Seeing my immediate response, he sighed and asked me to wait a while, then called John on the internal phone. After a while, when work seemed to have settled down, John, who didn't know anything, came in and showed a smile when he saw me. "Mary, you're here! Are you off work today?" The smile faded from his face when he noticed the photos spread out on the table. His face gradually turned pale as he continued to stare at them. What is this?" "John, you were having an affair with Nicole. With this much evidence, you can't deny it. We're getting a divorce." "What? Divorce? Why? This was just a fling. What I value is you and our family." "Nicole came to disturb my work. She told me that you're not interested in old women like me." "That's not true. You're beautiful, and you're not an old lady." "Dad, call Nicole." Startled by my words, my father hurriedly calls Nicole. "Doctor, you called for me?" Nicole, in a good mood from being personally called by the director, comes in. She noticed that I was facing John, and I could see a smirk on her face. "Nicole, could you explain these pictures?" Nicole glanced at the photos spread on the table, her eyebrows furrowing slightly, but then she smirked, as if to brush it off. "I apologize, Doctor. John and I are dating. Of course, I know about Mary, but I could support him as a housewife. This way, he can concentrate on his work and feel relieved as a father, don't you think?" It seemed Nicole had mistaken my father for John's father. John was so pale, he seemed to be at a loss for words. "Mary, have you decided to break up with John? I will give you severance pay, and I will take good care of your children, so please, don't worry." I had to chuckle a bit at Nicole's theatrical speech. Was I actually laughing? I could see that Nicole didn't find it funny, and she seemed a bit irritated. "It's not severance pay, it's alimony. And since I'll be raising the kids, I'll need child support from John." "Well, that can't be helped then. But I'm happy you agreed to the divorce. Now I can be with John." "Stop it." John muttered something, but Nicole, who was on a roll, didn't seem to hear it. "Well then, as soon as you're ready, could you leave the house?" "Stop it!" John grabbed Nicole's shoulder to silence her, and Nicole, who didn't expect to be stopped, looked up at him in surprise. "Nicole, I'm sorry. It was just a fling. My family is important to me, and I can't be with you." As John said this, I could see the color drain from Nicole's surprised face. "Why? You told me you would divorce and marry me. You said you'd make me the wife of the future director, and I believed you." "I'm sorry." "I don't understand. You told me you're not into such an old lady. She's always at work, not at home. You said yourself how lonely you are." It felt like I was watching a messy breakup unfolding right in front of me. I'm an impatient person by nature, so I was starting to lose my patience. "That's enough! I'm getting a divorce from John. I'll be seeking alimony from both of you. And John, you need to pay child support, too. That's all." As I tried to conclude the conversation, my father, understanding my character, chuckled and interjected. "Well, since my daughter said her piece. Sorry, John, but it ends here." "Wait, did you just say your daughter?" "My child is Mary, and John is my son-in-law. John, I certainly considered you as my heir, but I guess that's out of question now. That house is mine, so the one who needs to leave is you." "John is your son-in-law? He never told me that. What happens if he's no longer the heir? Can't he live in that big house anymore?" Nicole was starting to panic all by herself. "Mary, I'm truly sorry." Suddenly, John fell to his knees and bowed deeply to me. "Nicole was nothing more than a fling. I can't ask for your forgiveness, but could you possibly give me another chance?" The desperate bowing was probably because he was on the verge of losing his job. But no matter how deeply he bowed, I couldn't forgive him. Apart from the affair, I had another reason why I could never forgive John. "That's impossible. Do you recognize this?" I pulled out my cell phone and showed him the blue penguin charm. Seeing John's face turn pale, I knew he was guilty. I had noticed something when John came to the hospital yesterday and showed me the photo. I was so happy with this charm. You bought matching ones for us and told me about how penguins mate for life. I was truly happy. I had the blue penguin, and you had the light blue one. But Nicole, you also have the light blue one on your phone, right? Did John buy that for you? Yes. John, admitting defeat, confessed that he had bought it. That's why it's impossible. We should break up. Nicole has the exact same one, not just a different color. That tells me enough about your feelings. I can't forgive you, no matter what. Please, Mary. John, I am truly outraged as a father that you betrayed my daughter. And Nicole, you disrupted the discipline of the clinic by having an affair with John, who has a family. As a clinic director, I must punish both of you, so be prepared for that. I'm so sorry, but please let me keep my job. We'll go through lawyers from now on. You both can leave for today, and from tomorrow, you'll be on paid leave. You don't have to come to work. Hold on. I don't understand. John, you are a doctor. Can't you just work somewhere else? Quit this small clinic. Let's start over. Please, Nicole, let's break up. I never intended to lose my family or happiness. Are you freaking serious? You deceived me. My father sternly rebuked the bickering of John and Nicole and kicked them out. John had always insisted that the family was all that mattered to him. Then why did he do something that betrayed us? I didn't want to go back to the house where John and Nicole apparently spent every day during the day together. So I asked my father to let me and my children live at my parents' house for a while. Upon arriving at their house, I felt relieved, and even though it wasn't yet evening, I collapsed into a deep sleep. When I woke up, it was pitch black, and I was startled. But upon checking the clock, I realized that it was midnight, and that I must have been exhausted. I noticed my cell phone was lit up, and when I checked it, I found numerous missed calls and text messages from John. I didn't want to hear his voice, so I read through the messages, all of which were apologies and excuses for his affair. I read some of them, and at the end, I found a sentence where John was asking for my father's intervention because he felt remorse. And this caused me to let out a cynical laugh. After all, he had probably just wanted to secure his position at the clinic. I was so furious and pitiful, I forcefully tore off the penguin charm from my cell phone and tossed it into the trash. Suddenly, I was overcome by a wave of immense sadness and began crying. One tear led to another, and soon I was sobbing out loud, even though it was the middle of the night. My mother, who had been sleeping, woke up and came to check on me, staying with me throughout the night. Family is truly warm. The more I thought about wanting to create a family like this, the harder I cried. The next morning, when I woke up, I felt much better. My mother was worried, but I've always been the type to move on quickly. I had completely severed all emotional ties with John. That very day, I met with a lawyer that my father had introduced me to, and quickly arranged for alimony and child support payments. I decided to leave everything else up to the lawyer and return to my daily life. It took longer than expected, but eventually the lawyer reported that the divorce was finalized. John had apparently put up quite a fight, not wanting to let go of both the marriage and the clinic. In the end, however, he agreed to a settlement after being persuaded by the lawyer that he had no choice of winning in court. The moment the divorce was finalized, Nicole and her parents somehow found out and rushed over to pressure John into marrying Nicole, and he was unable to refuse. Because we had a child, I had demanded a substantial alimony payment. John was also forced to pay the child support in one lump sum, leaving him with almost no money. Apparently, Nicole was furious that things didn't go as planned, and she had completely given up on housework, leading to constant arguments between the couple. The lawyer informed me of this. Moreover, my father might run a small clinic now, but back in the day, he was a department head at a large hospital. Thanks to that, he's got a wide network, and the news about John's situation spread like wildfire in this area. It seems he's having a hard time finding employment as a doctor anywhere. I don't know if he'll leave this town or find a different job, but honestly, I couldn't care less now. My father decided to rent the house we used to live in to someone he knew. Because I had expressed I didn't want to return to that house, no matter what. I've decided to build a new home for my family of 3 with my own money. Until it's ready, I plan to stay at my parents' house to take care of my children. I am still young, and I jokingly mentioned to my parents that I'm wondering if there might be someone else out there for me. They laughed, calling me impatient.